Memories I'll never lose, 1,000 things I'll never use. I should throw them all away, but not today. In the bedroom, there's a touch of roses in the air, but when I turn to find her, she's never really there.
Eat!
Well, I've been working on a thing. It's sort of like stummies.
Go on. I like what I hear so far.
It's exactly like stummies.
And the twist is?
It's a much bigger pill.
I like a lot. Is it ready for production?
Yes, sir. It's ready to go.
Yeah, but have there been any side effects?
Yes, sir. A few side effects.
Well, that's okay. As long as there's no flipper babies, right, Don?
Well, there have been a few flipper babies.
The shinola on that one. All right. Now, I would like to address this arts funding issue. Now, this all reminds me of a humorous story of the traveling salesman. Let's say that the taxpayer is a farmer and the government is a salesman. Well, the farmer says you can spend the night in my barn, but do me a favor, don't stick your willy into any of the 3 holes in the wall. Well, in this case, the salesman's willy represents the taxpayer's money, you understand. Well, the government, like the salesman, can't help himself. Sticks his willy in the first hole, it feels good. Sticks his willy in the second hole, it feels even better. Sticks his willy in the third hole, and it hurts like hell, and it won't let go. Well, in the morning, the farmer comes out, and he explains. Behind the first hole was my wife. Behind the second hole was my daughter. And behind the third hole was a milking machine that don't let go till it gets 50 gallons. Gentlemen, I propose that this arts funding is like a milking machine, and unless we shut it down, it's going to rip our dicks right off.
Is that Henrietta Pussycat? The Henrietta Pussycat from the neighborhood of make-believe?
The same. Thank you, P. I use her as a shower mitt. Does that bother you, Quizby?
Exactly, Lidge! That's a priceless artifact and part of our collective childhood, you monster!
What the hell is this?
This is the bill that will convert the State Hospital for the Insane into the William J. Lepetamine Memorial Gambling Casino for the Insane.
Gentlemen, this bill will be a giant step forward in the treatment of the insane gambler.
Yes, bravo. Beautiful. Hurrah.
Dude, you don't have to be ashamed or anything.
But I'm not a fudge packer.
Then why are you packing fudge?
I'm not. I'm a very busy actor. I'm just here trying to get away for a weekend and do some fly fishing.
Dude, you are in a fudge factory packing fudge.
Oh, that does it. I will sue you.
For what?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it. Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise?
Louie, your love for Jim is really touching.
Yeah, Iggy and me are tight. We're like Roy and Trigger.
Hey, Jim, you're not falling for this, are you?
I don't know. Am I, boss?
There's nothing to fall for, Iggy. Wheeler's just jealous. But the fact of the matter is, there's a structure to cab driving. It's like a tree of life. On the very topmost branches, you have the Ignatowskis. Beneath them, you have the Rigas and the Nardos. Below that, you have your Banthas, Apes, and Gibbons. Below that, you have your lice, your pond scum, your wheelers. You can't get lower than wheelers.
What about me, Louis?
I stand corrected. All right, enough.
What?
Registered commies, not guns.
Oh, he was probably a member of the National Rifle Association. There was a group that helped criminals get guns so they could shoot citizens. It was a public service.
This is where he every day I'm wearing a necklace like this, and he's in this urn.
Is his ashes?
Yeah, his ashes right here and here. Yep. So both of my grandpas are here.
What's that other thing on the necklace?
It's a Punisher emblem.
What's that about?
I like the Punisher just because he's he takes his the law into his own hands to punish the people that wronged him.
Yeah, I asked Denny, how do you feel about gun control?
For communists.
What about banning assault weapons in the private sector?
As soon as you say it's okay to ban assault weapons, my friend, even in the private sector, you make it easier to take guns away from hunting than personal protection. Soon, the military and the police are without firearms.
Let's get back to
right. So these punks,
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual. Wow. But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
Kill or be killed, what is it going to take for people like you and Dingle to get along with the East Coast?
Look, I don't know, man. I mean, these guys got their fucking talking dolls and shit.
Questions, Professor Pickles?
What? I ain't no Professor Pickles.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't mess with the East Coast. Look, I don't need you defending me, you howdy-doody looking motherfucker. I'm out of here, yo.
Yeah, I'm with them.
Man, step off.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our follies. We hope you like the show. Now everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and it's full of pep. We're gonna start with high chuck. Just watch this chorus steps.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our 145th consecutive Tuesday night where we get together with you. Who are you? Let me know in the comments, maybe in the chat if you're live right now. We'll get back to that in a moment. For those of you that are new here or are seeing us on Facebook, I chose to do this as a Facebook event or a show also. So join us over on YouTube. Make a Gmail account. You don't have a Gmail account? And like sign in. Maybe like subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. All that stuff. I just stumbled on you on this show. What are you? Well, we are a comic book show on YouTube. And not only that, we are a comic book show on YouTube from a store owners. That's me. And a store. It's a little bit different. Talking numbers or things that happen. Something that's a little less it's fact-based, not emotionally based. We are a store in Berkeley, California. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. When I say we, I mean me. I have a volunteer that comes in on Wednesdays to help out. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Come back. Say hi. Again, we'll get to that in just a moment. I hope everybody's been doing okay. What's going on out there? Do you read comic books? I've been reading some comic books lately. I'm pretty excited. And not only that, I've got some comic books that are coming in. Oh, I mean, that had just come in. And I've got a box right here. We're going to unbox these right in front of you. I mean, I know what they are. It's more of a show and tell type situation. See, that's the emotional part of the show. I'm a comic book collector at heart. I love comic books. I like reading them. I like talking about them. I just like sharing. Some would say like proselytize to you. I want to have like a church sermon episode where I take like monologue from comic books or maybe Stan Lee witticisms from the soapbox or whoever. There's plenty of people over at DC that opined, and you can find all sorts of stuff, So from the book of the Comics Journal, number 32, page, on and on and on. The reason why I'm on Facebook right now is because I wanted to make sure that the most amount of people that, like, I don't do Instagram or whatnot or whatever that shit's called. So I just do this and sometimes on Facebook. But I want to let everybody know this is your last chance, your last week before Thanksgiving. No, I shouldn't say that. All right. We were open Wednesday through Sunday, so you have until Sunday to be able to, be eligible to win Vengeance #1, which we'll get to. We'll talk about Vengeance #1. You have until Sunday to do what you need to do, which is come into the store and purchase 3 comic books. You need to purchase issues 5, 6, and 7 of the Image Anthology, where Joe Casey has a story in it. Joe Casey is the creator of Miss America Chavez, and her first appearance was in Vengeance #1, and there is a raffle of sorts. I don't know whatever to call it, but we're going to do like a spinning wheel that's here on the internet. Put all the names of the people that purchased issues 5, 6, and 7 of Image Anthology. So there's 1, or I should say 5, and there's 6, and there's 7, And there's all sorts of people that are involved in this, not just Joe Casey, but he's the dude that created Miss America Chavez along with Nick Dragotta. And not only is it Vengeance #1, it's the alternate cover. This is worth money, folks. So you will, enlighten yourself with all sorts of new stories from creators of Image comic books, not only Joe Casey, but Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, and Scott Snyder and Jock. These are all people like. So it's like a win and almost possibly another win if it should happen. And you're going to find out on 11/22, which is the Tuesday before Thursday. And I'll be off that day. Woo! A whole day off. Like I won't even have to do comic book stuff. That is so cool. Can't wait. Definitely a Thanksgiving. But on the 22nd, the Tuesday before, we're gonna join up again. And we're gonna find out who wins this book, Vengeance #1. The first appearance of Miss America Chavez. Still have copies of #7. So whoever bought 5 and whoever bought 6, you should hurry on down to the store because you have until Sunday. And you never know when something bad is going to happen, and I might not be able to open up. So, New Comic Book Day is tomorrow. You should come on in. All right, that's enough shilling. Oh, wait. Before we get to everything, I want to let everybody know that not only did I have one of the most physically horrible weeks in my life. The only reason, you come on in and you notice, and maybe you're just super polite and don't say anything, or maybe you just don't give a shit. No, you're here, so you got to hear it. I really effed my knee up, and I think the brace that I had, I thought the knee was going anyway. Sometimes it gets a little puffy, So I put on a knee brace, and I took off the knee brace, and holy cow, there was bruising eventually. Anyway, my knee's getting better. And then I have this heel thing that reoccurs. It's a real big pain in the butt, but I'm celebrating an extra day off. It's just me at the store mostly. And doing any important surgery that includes, being off my feet. Well, a few days of real severe pain is probably worth it. But this also happened before I came in one day. Look at my front door. Isn't that horrible? We talked about it on our Substack account. We had an emergency. Hey, let you know about this. We asked if you know anything about making doors or what we should do. You get in touch with us if you're interested. There might be a Vengeance #1 slot available to you. But you got to take 5, 6, and 7 of Image Anthology. Anyway, here's another one. And I took a 3rd, so you might as well look at that. That's what I came up to. Wasn't cool. Wasn't cool at all. The life of a comic store owner. But thankfully, it didn't seem like it was somebody that was looking to rob us. So, small things. I don't know. Small joys. Whatever. Thank you, everybody, for tuning. There you go. That's store stuff right there. Let me put a scroll about tonight's show. We're going to be talking about some greats that we lost last week and unboxing it in 25, so I got to hurry up. Talked about the America contest and stuff about the store. Maybe we'll talk some more about the store. Who knows? Before we go and say hello to everybody, there's something we like to do. We like to, talk about stuff that happens in the store. Sometimes it's not comic book related. And for that, we allot a little bit of time. That's right, the Wrestling Minute. Wrestling and comic books is a natural. Wrestling and politics is a natural. Wrestling, I always thought like if I ever went back, I would do this big old study on wrestling and how it's a mirror of what's going on. I don't know if it necessarily is right now, but even if I like look at the different products, I can look at what is it called? Uh, people are grouping and they like talk such venom to each other, especially online, social media, blah blah blah. But wrestling and comics, wrestling is lowbrow, comics is lowbrow to certain people, no matter what Pulitzer a comic may have won. No Emmys are given to wrestlers yet, but I mean, geez, if they did that, then they would really have to be part of SAG, and they don't really want to have wrestlers coming into their union, so that'll never happen. But there's low man on totem poles. But we have Daniel Warren Johnson right now doing a kick-ass wrestling comic. We've had cool ones in the past. The Hernandez brothers, these are the elites of snobbery when it comes to comic books. I love snobbery, by the way. They did they focused on women's wrestling, Mexican women's wrestling. Very cool stuff. So, I understand. But that, it plays. It plays. What can I say? So what's been going on? Well, the Survivor Series is going to be going on soon. 2 weeks. 2 days after Thursday. So a Saturday. And there's going to be all sorts of really cool matches. On Friday, the Usos became the longest tag team champs. Is that true? Really? Even with the old days when it took 9, well, it's been a long time. So good for them. There was a tournament to see who was going to face Ronda Rousey, and Roxy won. Wow. That's crazy. Yes. She came from Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. That's where she bills herself from. And I think she did I can't remember. What's Hood Slam wrestling out here. So like she came from Hood Slam. So all right, a local girl gonna go up against Ronda Rousey. That's pretty sweet. Last week, Theory got his butt handed to him by Bobby Lashley, and then Seth Rollins beat him when he tried to cash in for the U.S. title. But all of a sudden, his beard is thickened, and he also has, here, let me take this banner down. He has his first name again for real. So that's a wild improvement. People thought that Triple H was going to give Vince McMahon's favorite toy the shits. And it seems like he's he got a good victory. He looked strong at the end of the show, and he has his first name back. Wow. And then lastly, Drew McIntyre is going to join the Brawling Brutes against the Bloodline at Survivor Series. It's a War Games match. Woo! That's pretty cool. Whatever. And then this Saturday, AEW is going to have Full Gear. The main match is Jon Moxley versus MJF. Oh, for shame! It was haphazard making that match. Everything's been fucked since the CM Punk thing, and I don't think I'm very negative about it. I'm not very positive about WWE, and Jill can attest that I'm not really watching it all that much. If it's not Sami Zayn, I'm not that interested in it. But there's some cool things going on. I'm sure if you like pure wrestling, AEW is still good. But the builds have been kind of lackluster. And then there's the question about whether or not the Elite are going to show up at this pay-per-view. And then there's a question if anybody gives a shit if the Elite show up at this pay-per-view. And with that, that's your Wrestling Minute. All right, everybody. This is a pretty good time for me to say.
We didn't come to borrow any money. We didn't come to borrow any dough. We didn't come to borrow any trouble. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh, hello to you, Mr. Penny. Please don't think that we are hammy. We just stopped in from Alabama. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh boy, you said it. We just stopped in to say hello. And don't forget it. We just stopped in to say hello. And I'm hello. Hello. Goodbye.
Hello, everyone. I have to put my my names up. It's going to be very important next week because it's going to be a jam-packed show with plenty of guests, and you're going to want to know who they are when they're on. Oh, here it is. Boom. Yule. That's how you spell my name. It's fine. You can spell it like a cool dude like Yule Brenner, or an even cooler dude in Yule Gibbons, or that contestant on Survivor that won named Yule, or my dad. And that's pretty much all the Yules I really know of. Gonna do some boxing in just a moment. It's got popcorn, so yay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It looks like just a few people in the chat that are willing to say hello. Fantinium came in and wants to make sure that the CIA is watching or whatever. You know how I am about the question about whether or not fusion restaurants are cultural appropriation or not. I mean, it was pretty cool that, what was it? Attila the Hun? Is that who it was that actually kept, the art and the culture of the civilization that he was running over? Kudos. Sugar Pill's in the other room saying hello. Battle Buddy, is that Asian, South Asian, or Southeast Asian food? I was looking at it's like when that running back is looking down the field instead of looking the ball. And you have another question. What's up with the fantastic front door? Did they catch the perpetrator? Maybe if the person would have broken in, I would know who they were. But, we have blinds down and, excuse me, itch. We have blinds down, so they would have to come in for us to have recorded them in any way. So I think it was just some nutbag. Nobody's come back and we're replacing the door. But, this is I think we're going to replace the door entirely, but it's of an odd shape and size. Well, it's not an odd shape, it's rectangular. But for anybody that hasn't really seen our store, there is a lip. So the door is like 9 feet, right? But there's about 7 feet, and then there's like a lip of the structure that is the building that we are. So if the door opened out, it would hit that thing and not be able to open. So it has to swing in. We get little flies coming in from outside. A screen door would be pretty cool, but how do you do the screen door? It ain't working. It ain't going to happen. So we have to get another door. And we had questions, so we had to get the answers because there's a homeowners association because of the way the building is. were a part of it. And, I have always, anytime I've been involved in a homeowners association, and it was as a kid, as my parents were, you can't just go and paint your house, you can't just make additions or anything like that. And if you do, you just can't let them know about it. Yes, you will. And he was from the Bay Area, or he's exactly from the Bay Area. And Elithidor is here. Good evening, Elithidor. All right. Let's get this thing underway. So we have out here in Berkeley, we have a convention that's quarterly, maybe a little bit more, because they ramped it up this year because, first year without serious requirements. And it might have caused a little bit of a strain, but they had a really fun show at the end of the year. Unfortunately, I was invited to go to a memorial for Eric Jones, who was an artist that worked on numerous things for DC, First Second, Slave Labor Graphics, for numerous years, worked for Disney. When I had Landry Walker on the show, and he was talking about having, he knows what sales are, real sales. A lot of people talk about the comic industry and how we're not moving units like we used to. But it's, he was, when he was in like grocery stores, in the Disney magazine, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. As far as like numbers are concerned. And, there are other people that you wouldn't suspect were outselling, any X-Men or Superman or whatever it is. And these guys, or these people working on these books that, are available everywhere, are outselling, the major creators. Name your favorite creator, your favorite writer. And, Eric and Landry, and I can't remember who the dude, the guy who did the Thor with Chris Samney. He did like an all ages Marvel book that was in like grocery stores and stuff like that. I think he's a Brit. Popcorn. So I wasn't going to be going to the show, at least not significantly, because it was on the same day as Eric's thing. I got a page of artwork. I've got also a print where he did this thing for comic. It was like Comic Relief and Rory. And I said, well, geez, I got to make sure somebody from Comic Relief gets it, not just some person from another store, some trader like Mike Courtwright. That's a joke for anybody that doesn't know. But I wanted to get something, so Comic Link does their little auctions, and usually you can get something for a steal. And I'm going to show you what I got for a steal, or what at least I had considered. See, the thing is like, everybody wants like a lot of money for their comic books. And usually when I get collections in, you have to parse what is going to be able to sell tomorrow as opposed to what is going to sell over the course of time, and how much you want to get to what, and then how much that other stuff is going to take to get to, and then how long it's going to sell, and on and on and on. And then you make a little bit of an offer overall. But you can move your product that way and make a nice little, bunch of money. If you're willing to do it yourself, everybody looks up the eBay price these days. I mean, any dunce can figure out, should figure out. There's other people that don't do anything on the internet, But nonetheless, most people that come in trying to sell comic books have at least looked online about, and they see always the highest price. When you look in the price guide for the very first time, the first thing you do is you go to the, whatever your favorite comic book is, or whatever you think the most valuable comic book is. And then you go and then you look it up, the very first price, the highest price. My God, this is a $35,000 book. That one theoretically is, but this one over here. But the problem is they went and they did all these gradings and stuff. They did the slab right here. Oh, look, it's in. I get some PTSD looking at those ads sometimes. It's like, oh, it's nostalgia. But sometimes there's some PTSD. It's kind of like an open wound that you're just trying to touch before it heals up. So I got some Spider-Man. This is like an easy way for me to get Spider-Man rather than go to the show. And then not only that, at least as far as CGC is concerned, there's a graded comic book on, that I'm buying. I'm happy that I won 2. I was hoping to win 3 so that I could take advantage of the minimum or the maximum amount I can get shipped at the lowest amount, but I lost. I just wasn't willing to spend the money. But I'm always trying to get these Spider-Mans, just 100 consecutive Spider-Man issues I've wanted to get for the longest time, and at times would do. When this whole, buying game was getting really big, I made sure to get a certain one I had to make sure I had within all of the books. But this is what I got this time. And this is Spider-Man 245. And it's a 9.6, so high grade. Usually if you see it at 9.8, it's at least $100 more. And then this is 216. Madam Web appearance, not first Madam Web. And it's a 9.4. And just 2 issues, just comic books. I was able to get to the show though, kind of like glad hand, and take advantage of the fact that Eugene was at the shop. And I did buy a comic, which I actually pressed already. I think it's 9.2-ish. And I did a Mother's Basement on this, I do believe. Or I talked about this when the Hulk and the the Mighty Thor and the Incredible Hulk were going to be fighting against each other in that Donny Cates crossover between the 2 books. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of that. Anyway, I saw that and I said, you know what? That's me collecting like a butterfly. That's why I only have so many of these. And that's the unboxing. Ta-da. Someday, there will be a video of all the ones that I have that are slabbed, and I'm just going to be taking them out. And maybe I'll just burn the invoice number, the account number for it. Let's just take that out of circulation forever. Well, thank you very much, Doc Post a lot. It was, I'm happy. I didn't spend a whole lot of money, but, I spent a couple bucks. And if they were at the show, they probably would have been a lot more. But then I might have got that third one also. And maybe not. Maybe they wouldn't have been slabbed because A1 was there and not everything they have is slabbed. But and there you go. All right. Let's get to get to the bummer stuff. 3 people within, heavy within comic books, at least to some degree, died last week. And on Tuesday, when the show occurred, I failed to mention, and it wasn't necessarily that I failed to mention. I just felt, like I still really didn't do necessarily any homework on it. And there's no homework that I'm doing necessarily for any of this, but I expected to have Max with me and we'd be bouncing shit off each other. So if anybody in the chat wants to say anything about any of the people that I'm talking about, chime in. I'll get to you. Let me get some of these pictures up. Hold on a sec. Show. Did I do it this way? Huh. Maybe I already did it. Oh, there it is. I'm so stupid. All right, so we're going to go in order. Hopefully. when I upload these to StreamYard, it puts them out of order, actually. First up, I'm just going to show you artwork. Don't have pictures of the person. Kind of sucks, I guess. But Kevin O'Neill. When I first saw Kevin O'Neill's work, it was, maybe we got like Judge Dredd. I'm sure we got Judge Dredd. I was really into reading the ones that Brian Boland did the art for. And this would be like advertised in those comic books, those Eagle comics. And I always wanted to know what Nemesis the Warlock was. And I've seen, working for the other store, and sometimes you'll see collections of this come out. But always these British books, it takes forever. It's worse than manga. I mean, it really is. If anybody's ever tried to collect the Judge Dredd stuff, you'd understand. If you wanted to get like there you go. If you ever try to get ABC Warriors. Anyway, Nemesis the Warlock always felt to be the same way. He also went on and did, this is, I wouldn't say it was more mainstream because it was part of Marvel's Epic line. And Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill, and I think they were the two that worked on Nemesis the Warlock. They did Martial Law, which was, over the top and uber violent and funny. A little, it doesn't matter. There's another Martial Law. I don't think it was an ongoing, but it was like a series of miniseries. That's how I remember it, at least. And then, for the most part, anybody that knows Kevin O'Neill mainstream-wise, and again, we're really stretching the idea of mainstream, but there was a movie. So there's The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that he worked on with Alan Moore, where you take fictional characters that are, super famous, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the Invisible Man and people and have them adventuring. I think the movie made everything a little bit more American. I think there was like some Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer character. Kevin O'Neill's art was pretty lavish, definitely very detailed, and just a couple of these pages, you can kind of figure that out. And with the last installment of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, both Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill said that they were retiring from comic books. And I think that probably came out, maybe the last one came out when we moved to the new location. I can't remember. I think it was the old location, though. And it's a shame that Kevin O'Neill is a very good illustrator and supposedly a very cool dude. Alan Moore was asked to write something about him for like the New York Times, and he did like 800 words, which I guess doesn't sound like that a lot, but they didn't, they didn't have the whole thing. At the bottom of this, it talks about his influences and his comic book style. Yeah, that's a shame. Kevin O'Neill. In the same name, same family name, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, the animated series that I forget when it premiered. It was something like 94 or something like that. He's been the voice of the Batman for quite a long time, and most people know Batman's voice as his. I mean, I guess with the movies rotating so many different people, there's nobody that's stuck it out as long as this guy. He's even done like some of the video games and things. There was a funny joke I heard where man says to woman, the voice of Batman died. And woman says, well, wife says, oh shit, what's his name, Jill? Fuck. Job from Arrested Development. She's like, he died? And that's just like, it's funny, like depending how, when you grew up, that was a long time ago. Batman the Animated says, Will Arnett. Thank you, Jill. That's why I need Jill on the show all the time. Just to like check my shit. Yeah, Will Arnett is the Lego guy, and any kid that's growing up, that's definitely, and any parent that had to stick around while the kids were watching it for the millionth time knows him as the Lego Batman. And I'm sure he'll probably do one of the big ones if, now probably. The Lithidor says Kevin Conroy, death hit hard. Yeah, I saw lots of people. In fact, Adrienne Barbeau, she said nice words, tweet style, I guess, or maybe it was Facebook to Twitter. But the first time I saw Batman was that 2-part Catwoman episode. I thought it was like, the very first ones. And if you look at HBO Max, it is. But there's a lot of Berenstain Bears shit when it comes to this program. So, you tell me. I'm not an expert. Thank you, Battle Buddy. I really appreciate that. They are. Get my Spider-Man on. This is the time to buy people. This is the time to buy people. Go into your comic store and hope they don't have everything slabbed and it's cheaper. Like my store. My ankle was hurting also, so I wasn't letting people go down in the basement unless they were parishioners. So ask about being a parishioner in the future. Let this be a lesson learned. Back in 2017, I saw Kevin Conroy at Comic-Con in, wait, how do you say that? Sales Pavilion. I said to myself, I can see him next time. And then, a year goes by and then a pandemic. Yes, I did mean that Mandela effect. I thought that'd be funny to say it that way. Well, I mean, it's how important is that to you all? I'm going to get to the last person in just a moment. How important is it to you to meet someone you idolize? Well, I don't really idolize that person. Then why do you want to meet them? And I mean, that's not a problem. I mean, that's perfectly okay to say that, you don't idolize somebody and you just want to take a picture with them. I had a friend who, his father, I forget what the father's, nickname was, but it really wasn't his nickname. But anytime they got someone famous to sign to his father, they use that nickname. And it really, hey, I'm not even going to bring one up. This is why I'm not a real writer, because I couldn't come up with a good name. And I'm just trying to come up with Joseph or something. Anyway, how important is it? How important is it to get your comic book signed? How important is it for you to get a piece of Kevin O'Neill's artwork? Do you have a baseball card, a baseball? Are you a real big fan of the team? Are you going to get that signature tattooed on your ass? On and on and on. There's a lot of things people do in the name of like fandom. I am sad that I didn't get this next person's work in some way. There's a lot of it, and I can't imagine like all of it's going to be like super expensive, but to me it would be understandable if it was. He's worked on like major characters his entire life. Now that I think about it, there was, Carlos Pacheco. We were talking about him when Joe Coralla was on the show. We were doing the Luda review, and it had just been announced that Carlos Pacheco had ALS. Let me do this really quick. We all got that one person we'd love to say hi to at least once in our life. Yeah, maybe so. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward walked by our table out eating once. Our waitress was giving us the details of what they ordered. That was good enough for me. What'd they eat? Oh, how they feel about that dessert? Because we got the same thing too. For me, I saw musicians and entertainers up close. Definitely seeing performances. I can understand that possibly a little bit more, rather than trying to glad hand or tell John Byrne how awesome it was that that Wolverine sewer scene. He doesn't give a shit. And also finding out that they don't give a shit. At least when a performer's performing, that's what they're doing. They maybe meeting them isn't that big a deal. Jill and I were talking about the 80s and like hair bands and all sorts of stuff that was going on back then. Not cool now. Oh, and Patrick Stewart, without question. Esposito, Giancarlo Esposito. Doesn't he play for the Yankees? I would like to see him too. My dad forced me to get David Crosby's autograph for kids going up for their parents. Anybody ever do anything like that? Oh, I see. Hero Fall. I met Walter Koenig in the elevator at the Star Trek convention in Boston when I was 12. My friend's dad, I identified him. He was cool, shook my hand. I did not meet Walter Koenig, but my friend used to be in the LA comedy group that Walter Koenig's daughter was in. Walter Koenig's son was the kid from Growing Pains. He was Booger, I do believe. Was past tense. Weird Science Comic says, I met the lead singer of the Bullet Boys. Wow. My father would take me to this one convention, and BJ Honeycutt from MASH would sit in this phone booth at this hotel waiting for his kid to go and buy comic books. I never bugged Honeycutt. Boner, but did I say bonehead? I don't care. It was Richard Stubbone. Oh, I said booger. Well, whatever. What are you gonna do? All right. Who else died? Another one. All right. So I remember this artist and I forgot about another book that they did. But I remember them doing Flash. Only a couple issues. Conveniently, their name is hidden by the banner. That's great. There's a lot of people that worked on this book. In fact, that person that I'm talking about, this is a really bad example to show you, but with the exception of miniseries, a lot of his early stuff actually ended up kind of fizzled out like this. And who I'm talking about is Carlos Pacheco, and he did like the layouts of the pages. So people that I'm going to show you, a page or two that I'm going to show you are his layouts, but other people actually like finished it. But there's still elements of him. Not this one. I like to keep this one in, along with having the caption or the splash page box credits. Credits. This is a very 90s style when this book came out. I was working in a comic store. I remember reading these flashes. I should have also been showing you Bishop because, like, during this time, I think also Pacheco was doing Bishop. I think John Ostrander was the writer of that. These are the Mark Waid issues. I have all of these in trade paperback, including the Greg LaRocque ones. And yeah, good stuff. Not my favorite, but definitely during this time, my favorite Flash that Mark Waid was writing. The artists start with like Mike Wieringo, which is sad because he's no longer with us. Salvador LaRocca, when he wasn't just lightboxing everything. This is his page, actually. I think it's inked by somebody who's not so wonderful. But, he's emulating the art of the time. And at the very least, his layouts feel real. And, not everything's computer colored. And then you have your Carlos Pacheco pages that Oscar Jimenez and folks were involved in. And here, let me get this banner off. All right, there we go. I like the way that he draws. He's still keeping kind of like the style of Mike Wieringo from issues prior. What he did was he followed him up and then was almost immediately off because Salvador LaRocca was doing issues, and I assume that Pacheco would be. Maybe he was working too much. But this is kind of like what happened with him a lot. Here's another page. Cool stuff. I only responded to like one or two people as far as like people talking about Pacheco dying and how awesome he was, because I of course agree. He would do he had no problems drawing hands, and he's so well, so good at doing it. And I think these pictures right here, even though he wasn't the full artist on it, the panel layout, it was a very good example of who he is. And also what was kind of like, he wasn't so on all the time. So I enjoyed his stuff. I thought he was really good. Excellent stuff. The Bishop is fun. I remember reading that and thinking, that's good stuff. The comics, are, it's all right, but then I kind of got out of comics with the exception of like Shade the Changing Man for a long time still. Preacher, but even that I had to take a break because I was going to eventually move up here. So like having comics on my person just wasn't, in the cards. Sandman, and maybe Sin City, or something alternative by Dark Horse. I love things like Fat Dog Mendoza, and they would do those compilation issues. Deadline, I think it was American Deadline. Okay, you guys are talking very good. All right, excellent. next up, so like I'm going a little farther with this because it's important to me that we let I let you know. He did X-Men for a time, a pretty good run. It was about a year. I think it was issues 62 to 74. Plus, they did those -0 issues or -1 issues, where it was like the moments right before whatever led us up to the very first issue of whatever book you were reading. So, yeah, stupid. A lot of Charles Xavier rolling up on Jean Grey's place. -1. This is just some of the art of the very first issue. It's cool. If you look up at the very top, I like the knuckles and the way out. You're gonna see that a lot in a few moments. When I finally moved up to the Bay Area, this series was well underway, but I eventually got a job at Comic Relief, and I was able to read it as it was finishing up. And that's Avengers Forever. And this is probably the one that, like, super put him on the map. Of all the people that were saying anything about Carlos Pacheco, they were saying how much they love Avengers Forever first. And anybody that wanted to show how awesome they were as far as Pacheco fans, they would go on and say something that was, a little bit less mainstream. Definitely, this one took a little while to come out, but Carlos Pacheco was doing super awesome fight scenes. He was including every single character that's ever been in Avengers, and he was including different ones from different times. And even though he has a super cartoony style, he never skimps, and he always works really hard and distinguishing different characters from each other. And I would suggest that even more kinetically he's doing, and I know this is sacrilege, especially since he died earlier in the year, probably better than George Perez when you think of like Crisis and Infinity Gauntlet and something like that. I personally think it's not to like hate on anybody, but even in this, you can tell exactly the emotions of the characters when you're looking at this. Look at the deviousness of Hank Pym. You know that Captain America up there is having some problems just on the way his brows furrowed. And I would assume that this. I would suggest that this is probably Carlos Pacheco at his greatest moments. He just has really super awesome page layouts. They change. You know how I've talked about it many a time. If you look at this, you have a nice 9-panel grid. But here you go, and it's not just that it's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 panels, but the way they're laid out, totally different from what you saw before. And then this one is totally different from what you just saw before. One long one. And so much of the 90s was, about one really big splash page. And side, turn the book upside down so that you, or not even upside down, sideways, so you can see the entire full picture. This guy jams so much information. This is a very this is a tough read, Avengers Forever, and Kurt Busiek writing it doesn't help any. He likes his words, but Pacheco really works well with it, and I think he's like one of the best. Not only do I think he's one of the best, I personally think. Well, I mean, I personally, I get into arguments with Jill because she doesn't give a shit about this kind of stuff. I love ranking things. That book that they made into a movie, High Fidelity, it was all about making lists. My favorite, music is almost always music. But then, the main character's dude's thinking about his past and he's thinking of girlfriends, so he starts ranking them and stuff like that. Silly shit. But I like doing that with my comic books, with my series. But the thing is, and it's not unlike, a Wizard top 10 list, I think you should kind of, separate, because it's not 100% fair if you're going to say, like, compare somebody that's an independent illustrator and compare them to somebody that's a polished mainstream illustrator. Of course, a lot of the mainstream people are fucking horrible these days. And they should have been, like, working in the salt mines. We've not, we're losing the middle class of comic books also. The middle class of comics always feels like you have to have, like, a property attached to it to matter. I appreciate Kirkman and his company. He has more money than God as far as comics are concerned, and he likes what he likes, and he puts his stuff out. Read Last Man, by the way, Last Man just came out last week, and it's a pretty cool book that his company is putting out, and just it's hard to experiment on different things. Carlos Pacheco, though, that dude's. Oh, by the way, did I show you? Oh, yeah, I did show you the Hulk. So I have this here to show you. This was the last anything he did of note. And I remember seeing a tweet that he put out saying that he apologized for not being able to do it. It was something he was really looking forward to. And he is having, like, back fusion surgery. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I'm thinking to myself, well, an athlete's going to take this long, but you're sitting down. But if your core is important to you, and all the other stuff, it might take close to a year for this guy to come back. And then, like I said on that episode where I was talking with Joe Corallo about Luda, the Grant Morrison book, it was announced that Carlos Pacheco had ALS. And that's the Lou Gehrig's disease, right? Why don't we say Lou Gehrig? I mean, I understand, F the Yankees, right? But, I mean, was there somebody else that could have gotten it, but they weren't famous, or they weren't famous enough? And now, people are like, I don't know if it's cool that we call it Lou Gehrig's. That's a shame. I think so on my list, as far as comic book superhero illustrators, and I'm going to have to amend it, Carlos Pacheco, there's no finer superhero illustrator. I responded on Twitter to that person. He mentioned Carlos's hands, and I said I always like to refer to his fingers as bloopy fingers. He does bloopy fingers. He's worked with Kurt Busiek a number of times. They did Aerosmith together for Image Comics. Image? It might have been when DC owned Wildstorm. I can't remember. I think the most recent Aerosmith was at Image, though. Kurt Busiek has worked there numerous times for various things. They did this Superman, Camelot Falls, right here. This is me showing off a little bit. They're just trades. Comic books, I sometimes like they take up so much space, This is the only Avengers, although I should go back and really get something that collects the Ultimates. But this is the only Ultimates Avengers that I have in the Ultimates universe. It's still a Mark Miller book, but Carlos Pacheco does the art. There's this great scene where Captain America's son is the Red Skull, and Captain America's in one plane and Red Skull's in the other. Captain America just gets on over on the other side and starts kicking ass. Again, all right, so a lot of people talk about Avengers Forever, and anytime it comes out in a new format, I usually try and get it. So I have this one. I have another one somewhere else, but I might have brought it back to the store and sold it. And then I have this hardcover, which is nice. I do believe, just like the comic books, these are all annotated. And, they got these, all the covers in here and everything. And it's just amazing artwork. Super great. It's ponderous, and You probably should have to like the Avengers. I personally don't love the Avengers as much as I love Carlos Pacheco's artwork. And Kurt Busiek's very good. And if you want to be knowledgeable about something and not have to read the entirety of a universe, this is definitely a very good one. It's ultimately like a what if story. So, is it really important? This isn't a what if story, but it's a nice little like 96 page story that Jeff Johns and Goyer wrote and Pacheco did the artwork for. I'm not sure if this one's in print anymore, like Avengers Forever, but not unlike Avengers Forever, almost everybody that could be drawn within these two teams is drawn. No commercials. It's awesome, super action. Jeff Johns is writing it, so you know stars involved. Excellent book. Carlos Pacheco was, to me, one of the greatest current, superhero illustrators running today. And until this person passes on or he gets surpassed, period. To me, Duncan Fegredo, who did Enigma, which you could buy at my store, he is the number one alternative to superhero illustrator. Maybe if we were talking about black and white, there might be some other type. Try and keep it simple, not too many lists. But yeah, those are my two favorites. And Carlos Pacheco is no longer with us, and that's a sad thing. And that's a shame because it happened so fast. And the damage control picture. So he tweeted out, "This damage control is going to be the last, picture I ever draw, or the last cover I'll ever draw." And I'm like, wow, that one wasn't that great. And that makes me sad. I didn't know how long, far along, how long does this take? I didn't look it up or anything like that, but I knew, it was, it's a big deal. But wow, that's crazy. It's just like, look at he split. It's just like I turn around and it's like, just like when it was George Perez. Well, yeah, pretty much. I think George Perez went, he had like a couple months. This one felt like it wasn't that at all. And like all of a sudden, two guys that do group shots unparalleled with almost anybody else that works in comics. Like, I mean, I'm struggling. And then Kevin O'Neill, the alternative version of that, or the not superhero version of that, all gone just like that within this year, Wow, just crazy. And with that, cheers. Yeah, man. R.I.P. Carlos Pacheco. I wonder now. I gotta think. Who would I mean? Really, it was just him, and now I have to think. Who is the number one? I mean, we're talking interiors. That's the important thing. Who is the artist that I will buy? Like, I was rebagging today my Carlos Pacheco Fantastic Fours. Let me see if I can get any of this up for you. Let's see. No, I must not have done it. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I was just putting in my Mylars, my Pachecos. His Fantastic Four kind of was like how I was saying the beginning of his career was. He was going to write the book and draw the book, and then he didn't seem to be doing as much of it. They got Jeff Loeb involved. His studio was involved, and then other people. So unfortunately, it was a lot of good covers, and there were some cool characters that he was involved in creating. But something for someone to take care of later on. Nurture. There's a few things in there that are good. There were some great illustrations, great covers. The Johnny Storm, not Namer, or I wasn't trying to make fun of the movie, but the Namer, the Namer versus Torch up by like the Statue of Liberty, just great stuff. I love Pacheco's work, and yeah, he's gonna be missed. There you go. Let's talk about. And I didn't pour one out technically right here on my computer. I think that'd be a bad move. Maybe I'm wrong. If you're like what you're seeing, if this is your first time, if you haven't done it and you're like, oh, maybe I'll do it anyway. Think about hitting the thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the bell for notification and follow us on a plethora of social media devices. The most important is Instagram and Substack, or Patreon if you want to give us money. In fact, you should take a lesson from George Costanza and maybe do the opposite.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh?
Paisanos!
$6.50 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisano. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Si!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile patrone!
You don't have to let that happen to you. You can just go on Patreon, tip us, have a recurring payment. That'd be awesome. I don't know. Did you see that door? Doors are expensive now. Were they always? My grandmother, she lived in Inglewood, and from her house with a worker and her husband built doors and screens and put in windows for people around the neighborhood that were looking to fix their own stuff. But sometimes having that equipment just doesn't really isn't always available, and so she was they were like a local handyman. And my dad also worked. Dad, what did you do to get under her thumb that way? All right, we're going to talk about some comics that are coming out tomorrow, everybody. First up, The Flash. You don't ever talk about The Flash. You don't even read The Flash right now. It's true, I don't. But every time I'm on Thinking Critical, and I was on Thinking Critical this last Saturday, and everybody likes this Jeremy Adams, who's writing the book. This is not the main artist, but Fernando Pasaran has worked on The Flash in the past, so it should look pretty cool. I think they've been kind of standalone, not important, having to read every single issue beforehand. So, you could probably pick this up and check it out and possibly feel good about that. So I am suggesting you take a look at The Flash tomorrow. Oh, DC again. Next up, we have Nightwing. Nightmite is joining the book. This is, I do believe, a first appearance. This harkens back to Batmite, the imp that was created in the 60s, and Superman with Mxyzptlk and the Batmite and all sorts of stuff. Had fun with these weird characters that anyway, we're bringing everything back, so why shouldn't Nightwing have a Nightmite? This book does pretty well for us, and has a cute cover, man. This is the main artist, who is probably just taking a break for this issue. He does stellar artwork, and I looked through this a little bit, and it looks fine still. A Batman One Bad Day. This is every Batman villain had a bad day leading up to becoming the person that is gonna go up against Batman every 6 issues for a year-long story. Jerry Dugan is writing this story. I do believe this is his first DC work. Maybe he did like one of those stories in a one-shot backup. Matteo Scalera is doing the artwork, so I guarantee it's going to look awesome. And if you're a fan of the color in comic books, Dave Stewart is still one of the greats. So I got a bunch of these. I got a bunch of the 2 covers. One is done by Jim Lee. Oh, you're going to love it. I think it might be a little bit of time before I suggest that this person could even come close to passing up Carlos Pacheco. But boy, I do love Dan Mora's artwork. And by all accounts, all of you are enjoying this book and Mark Waid's writing. Batman Superman World's Finest is one of the better books that DC's putting out across the board. And I can't keep it in stock, so hurry in. This is not a first appearance, but it is the first issue of a miniseries called the Gold Goblin. Norman Osborn's a good guy. He's understands that he was bad, but all those bad feelings have been expunged. But could this incarnation of a good superheroic goblin lead him back to his old ways? Find out inside. I haven't read it yet, but I have it right here. I'm interested, but I didn't order too heavy, so you might want to come in early. It's a nice cover that Mark Brooks did here. This is a whole story about Mystique and Destiny back in like 1890 or something like that. I think there's like some Sherlock Holmes shit or something. It does look very cool. The inside is nice, but it is not Mark Brooks. Go figure. Junkyard Joe #2. Y'all wondered if there was a second issue when you bought the first? I didn't know because I didn't read it. Guess what? Don't worry, Fantinuum, I'm pulling your issues, but I'll have many more for y'all to come on in and purchase. She-Hulk continues to do very well. Guest artist or fill-in artist Takeshi Miyazawa. I like that art a lot. Like back in the Runaways days, I like Miyazawa. Rainbow Rowell's doing a good job by all accounts, and She-Hulk is chugging along. Issue 8. All right, all of you that picked this book up, if you have an account with us, you should put this on your want list because, like, it's getting scary ordering sometimes. I mean, I know people like Jeff Lemire, but are you the trade people? Are you the people that buy an issue and then get the trade? Or are you the people that want to get the book all the time or the issue all the time? You got to let me know because I want to be, well, it sells very well. I just want to, some assurances. This would be a good book to do that with since, come to like 7th or 8th or 9th issue. If I can figure out like what the numbers are all the time, that would be helpful. Star Wars Hidden Empire #1. Is this a new? No, it's not a new character. This is Kira. QU''IRA, something like that. Charles Soule is writing it. He's been doing Star Wars for a while now, and can you tell? I personally am not interested. I am interested if you are, though, so let me know. Stargirl, Jeff Johns is like, I'm here. I'm going to be writing DC Comics, and you can't get rid of me no matter what you try. And Todd Knox like, I'm going to keep drawing this crap all the time as long as you keep paying me to keep doing it. No, Todd Knox very good. I'm just joking. And for a younger superhero audience, well, not even for the audience, just the characters. Todd Knox is a good fit. These are all like JSA younger kids, it looks like. And Stargirl's like the grown up in the room, at least as far as the cover is concerned. From the pages of don't tell people that. Mark Russell, don't tell. Hey, everybody, Blade's coming out. Vampire Nation. Actually, I like Mark Russell quite a bit. And the story about all the vampires in Russia are kind of cool. But I think this is going to be like a little bit of conversation. What? Anyway, check this out. Also, Captain America and the Winter Soldier special. So one shot. It's by Kelly and Lansing, who are doing the Captain America story with Steve Rogers. I guess the Winter Soldier, in order to kill somebody, shot Captain America through the arm. And now he's like persona non grata. So here we go. Wakanda, number 2. Maybe you saw a little movie called Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and you're thinking to yourself, I need more. Well, look at this. M'Baku is in this one. I heard he ended up at the end of the movie being featured. I don't know if that's true. So, not a lot of time, but sometime. M'Baku. Murder World Avengers. I will not be putting this under Avengers. I will be putting this under Murder World, because this is one of those miniseries that has a first issue each time a new one comes out, because it's Murder World Avengers, and then it's Murder World Spider-Man, and then it's Murder World Squirrel Girl, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, I want to let you all know that Sir Alfred is coming in. This is a Fantagraphics book. Holy cow. I love this book already. It's $20. I know, $20, but that's not a big deal. You can do it, everybody. And these are little one-page. And by the way, this is the 3rd issue, which is actually the 1st issue. There are no 1 and 2s, so you don't have to feel bad about, I know it looks horrible saying that you have a 3rd issue of something that doesn't exist. This is about Alfred Hitchcock making movies. And here's like one of the comic strips right here. The Prop Master. And here he is making movies and drinking. And he sees this cork. And he comes and he says, "Fetch Miss Fontaine for her close-up." And she comes in and says, I try my best every day, but it's very difficult with people looking me up and down and as if. And she looks at his crotch, and there's that cork. And there's your joke. This is the back of the book. So this is kind of humor you can look forward to with Sir Alfred. I highly recommend it, but I didn't get too many because I know there can only be so many of us out there, right? And with that, that is New Comics Day. Thank you very much, everybody. Let me do this. This is great. It's about we're an hour and a half in. I should do this. This time of the show, I like to say thank you to all our patrons. We have a Patreon page. Give what you can. Give till it hurts. For only 45 cents a day, you can help us build a door. And you helped us in a lot of other ways. Mostly with the tax man. Orders for bags and boards. Anything that gets funneled from here that goes to here. Everybody hates all these companies. What are you going to do? I can't do it alone. I can't. Would you rather just give money to me monthly and I'll just charge you each time and I won't take, and then I won't, lose any money from Patreon? Is that what you'd rather do? Get a hold of me. That's fine. But this is like an organization. You go in and go, oh, look, they went to the effort to put this in. Sometimes there will be something that will be in the Patreon channel. Supposedly they're like going to allow videos, so I'm going to be working on it more. But I've said I'm going to be doing stuff for Patreon a lot of times. No guarantees. But when there is something, it's for you. I want you to know that. This is for everybody. And sometimes you go to Patreon and say, thank you very much for doing this, because, I never want to open up a comic store now. Oh, man, let me tell you. You're doing the Lord's work, the comic Lord's work. You're doing Stanley's work right there. I am. I'm barking for everybody. Carnival barking. Comics is a carny industry. It's not till you're dead you find out how much people give a shit about you. That's a shame. I think you should let your idols, the people that you really like, maybe try and see if you can't get commission artwork from them. We complain about the fact that these people aren't good. Well, maybe these people are available for you to do something. Maybe you can swing something so that something, is there a dream scenario you always wanted to see? Sometimes it's pornographic. Even you can get people to do that. There's nude brogues out there, and whatnot from like main creators too. It's cheesecakey, I'm sure. Hardly hardcore. That's other people. Check what is it? Sexy Robots. They're a good Twitter handle. Yeah, anyway, I want to thank everybody that has given us money in the past. Anybody that still gives us money, you can see how it's tabulated and added up, and it's amazing. A little bit is a little bit. And if you can spare $3, that's awesome. If you can spare $5, that's awesome. If you can do a one-time thing, we'll get this tote bag stuff going on. Someday I want to do a telethon, because I listen to like a lot of NPR type stuff on the radio, and when they get into like telethon mode, it's like it's freaking awesome. So what I'll do is like I'll have these pachecos. Like I'll be like, how much this shit means to me. For a one-time subscription of $10 to our Patreon, you'll blah 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 blah, or whatnot. I gotta move this stuff anyway, so maybe we can all not these Spider-Mans I just got though. Where did I put those? If you weren't here earlier, I scored these amazing Spider-Mans 216, and this isn't even a real. It's the Hobgoblin appearance. It's not even a real reveal. I remember this one saying, "This cover's bullshit." 83. I was 13. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Next Tuesday, we are going to find out who is going to win Vengeance #1. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be 2 days before Thanksgiving, so we're going to get together, all of us. Tell a friend, because it's going to be an awesome episode, okay? Let me just tell you, I've been working on this. Not a lot. But I've been working on this. And I'm super excited. We're going to have guests. So that's more than one. I think this is going to be a fun time. And I want everybody to come on in and say, hey, we're going to, once again, we're going to find out. Maybe I'll do like in the 45th minute, we're going to find out who wins Vengeance #1. Until then, we're going to have frivolity and guests, and we're going to all come up with all sorts of things that we're thankful for in comics. Anyhow, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you next week, and we will find out who the winner of Vengeance #1 is going to be. Come on in the store and make sure you buy 5, 6, and 7 of Image Anthology, or at least the ones you need to complete the trilogy. See you tomorrow.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the trees from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous Sunset Sam.